everybody, and welcome to another Naked Truth. Trisha Hershberger here. I want to say a big congratulations to those of you who just hit your 1-year Naked Army anniversary, meaning you've been participating in this crazy Naked vlog series for a year. A lot of people had mentioned that in their vlogs last week. So if you want to check out everyone's vlogs from last week's, those who hit their 1 year and those who are almost there or who already have, those are all linked in the description below. This week, that was Chris, Hiram, Hannah, Nicholas, Lawrence, Sarah, Prescott, and Kristen, Kenny, Jenny, Julia, and Jacob. So thank you guys all so much for making your own Naked Truths and giving everyone natural disaster tips and stories, etc. It was very lovely. For this week, I wanted to go ahead and talk about a bit of a taboo subject, and that is age gaps when it comes to dating. I've had a lot of people put in suggestions for this topic for the Naked Truth over the time that I've been doing this vlog. Namely, Eduardo Martinez Amaya said, hey, can you talk about age gaps in relationship? I'm 21 and interested in a woman who's 31. Ocean Master said, can you talk about an acceptable age difference in between couples? Is it weird to date someone who's 5 or 10 or 15 years older or younger than you if at least one or both of the parties is interested? And Michael Olson said, could you please give me your thoughts on May-December relationships? So like I said, a lot of people have been asking this, and I think a lot of people wonder this as you go through life because it's very natural to develop crushes on people based on a variety of different things, and then sometimes later find out that this person is either substantially older or substantially younger than you. So it's a very natural question. When Michael Olson asked about May-December relationships, I had never heard that term, so I looked it up for those of you who had not heard that. A May-December relationship is basically May symbolizes spring and youth, and December symbolizes the end of the year, winter, kind of the end of your times, as depressing as that sounds. So it's a young-old relationship, and I was like, oh, okay. Now I know, the more you know about life, so now you know. But basically, my thoughts on does age matter when dating. I do think that it matters, but I do not think that it's the end-all be-all of things. I don't think you could ever say, because I believe in love, going through transcending all things, I don't think you could ever say, like, this is too big of an age gap, it will never work. It's hard to say never, because crazy things can happen. So, but I do think that age matters, and the reason that I think that age matters is because of priorities and where you are at that stage in your life. And so what I mean by that is if you think about yourself 5 years ago versus yourself now, what were your priorities back then? What were you looking for in a relationship? What were you looking for in your career? What were you looking for out of life? I would bet that 5 years ago, those things were probably a little bit different, if not very different from where they are now for you. And a lot of people make generalizations about decades, like in your teens, you're all about partying and finding yourself, and in your 20s, that continues. You're still very young, you're still very energetic, you're looking at everything life has to offer. In your 30s, you could be very career focused, and then in your 40s, you want to settle down. Again, these are all generalizations. Not everyone fits that mold, but they are generalizations because many people do fit that mold. So if you think about someone whose priorities at the time are finding out who they are and doing that through trying new things, that person might not be the best match for someone who's already been through that phase of life and is looking to settle down and find stability. Even though those people may be very attracted to each other and may really enjoy each other's company, on a fundamental level, that relationship will be a lot harder. So I guess that's what I mean when I say, does age matter? Yes, it matters because it makes things harder, and you need to be upfront in the beginning about what it is you're looking for out of life and what it is you're looking for out of a relationship, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. My only experience with dating someone significantly older or younger than me is when I was 19, I was dating a 27-year-old for a little while, and it didn't work out because of exactly that. It was priorities. I was still in college going through a theater program wondering, do I want to move to LA, do the big like Hollywood scene? Like I was finding who I was and figuring out what I want. And he at 27 already had a really good job and he knew what he wanted to do. And we met because we were working on an indie film together. So we had that in common, and we certainly had a lot of camaraderie and we enjoyed each other's company. But once that was over and it came back to like living normal lives, it was very hard for us to live our lives parallel to each other and in partnership. So ultimately that didn't work out. when I was doing online dating years later, I had set my like what I'm looking for in a partner, the age to 15 years older than me, and I was like, oh, that feels so old. I don't know if I can. I had reservations about an attraction level being there, but I thought, if I'm looking legitimately to settle down, and maybe start a family, maybe that's what I have to do to get someone who's got those similar priorities, at least here in Los Angeles. And I also think it has a lot to do with society and, what your society values, as well as prehistoric kind of urges. I think it's very natural for women to be attracted to, it's very natural for people to be attracted to someone older because of that stability. And it's very natural for people who are older to be attracted to someone younger because of their youth. It completely makes sense. Again, I just think it's harder to work out. And then I don't know if you've heard the divide your age in half and add 7 rule. When I first heard that, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know who came up with that, but they're a genius. And then I started doing some research into it for this vlog. It actually started in a couple French books in the early 1900s as a way to know the ideal age for your bride, like for arranged marriages and stuff like that. So it's definitely not like a new cutting edge thing. It's very archaic. I'm not sure why exactly that makes a lot of sense. I guess my thought on why the divide your age in half and then add 7 makes sense is because I believe as you get older, the age gap doesn't matter as much. For example, I think the priorities of someone who is in their late teens versus their late 20s is going to be a bigger gap than the priorities of someone who is in their late 30s to late 40s. Or, like my fiance Nate is 3 years older than I am, and we're really pretty on the same page when it comes to where we are in our career, what we want out of life, etc. Whereas if you're dealing with a high school freshman and a high school senior, they are on very different pages as far as, what they want out of life and what they're looking for in a partner. So I think as you get older, the age gap doesn't feel so crazy, and because of that, the divide in half and add 7 rule tends to work okay. Also, the legal age for fornication, that's a big deal. So as much as don't go home and say, Trisha said age gaps in relationships matter, but not really, so this is okay. That's all there for a reason. Anyway, there's so much to talk about with this topic, so I'm going to open up the forum to you guys, to the rest of the Naked Army, to everyone here in the comments section. Let me know what you think is the ideal age gap, and let me know what is the oldest or youngest age difference from yourself that you think you would consider dating and why. So again, you can leave that in your own Naked Truth vlog. You can send that to me using the About section of this channel and the For Business Inquiries link, and then you can email that straight to me. And just let me know if you want me to share it with the rest of the Naked Army the following week. Oh, and I got a new P.O. box. So if anyone wants to write to me or any of that, I have the P.O. box listed in the description. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.